Right now, somewhere in your kitchen or your purse, there's a pair of glasses you've looked for 3 times this week. And maybe, just maybe, you've walked into a room and completely forgotten why you're standing there. Stop right there. Before you let your mind convince you that this is just getting older, I need you to hear something that might change the next 20 years of your life. What if I told you that the average brain doesn't actually shrink from age, it shrinks from silence? From routine. From doing the same 12 things on autopilot every single day. Scientists studied a group of women in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, who somehow had the sharp, quick memory of a 30-year-old. And it had nothing to do with expensive supplements or fancy brain games you pay for monthly. It came down to 3 small, almost embarrassingly simple habits that most people scroll right past. Stick with me till the end, because I'm going to walk you through exactly what those habits are, and the one everyday item sitting in your pantry right now that's quietly working against your memory without you ever knowing it. Welcome back, my friend, to Healthy Living After 50, the home for women who refuse to let a number define how sharp, vibrant, and alive they feel. If this is your first time here, I am so glad you found us. Pull up a chair, get comfortable, because here we talk about real, simple, affordable ways to feel your absolute best after 50, no gimmicks, no impossible routines, just honest guidance that fits into your actual life. And to those of you who come back to me week after week, thank you. You are the reason this little corner of the internet keeps growing, and today's topic might be one of the most important ones we've covered yet. Before we dive in, if you're someone who values your mind just as much as your body, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button, and tap the little bell so you never miss a video like this one. It costs you nothing, but it helps this channel reach so many more women just like you who need to hear this today. Today we're talking about something so many of us quietly worry about but rarely say out loud: brain health and memory after 50. Not the scary, clinical version you read about at 3 in the morning when you can't sleep. I'm talking about the real, everyday version. The missing keys. The forgotten name at the grocery store. The feeling that your thoughts used to move like a fast river and now sometimes feel like they're wading through mud. Here's the truth nobody tells you enough: your brain is not slowly shutting down. It is simply asking for a different kind of care than it needed 20 years ago. And once you understand what it actually wants, memory doesn't just stop declining. For many women, it starts coming back sharper than before. So settle in, because we're about to go through this together, one simple, doable step at a time. Section on the forgotten organ. Let's start with something most people never think about. Your brain is the only organ in your body that you cannot see, cannot touch, and honestly, rarely think about until it starts acting up. We check our blood pressure. We watch our cholesterol. We weigh ourselves. But how often do you actually pause and ask, how is my brain doing today? Almost never, right? And that's exactly the problem. Your brain has been working nonstop since the moment you woke up this morning, sorting memories, managing emotions, keeping your heart beating without you even telling it to. And yet it is the one part of you that gets the least attention, the least rest, and often, the least fuel. Here's something that might surprise you. Your brain makes up only about 2% of your total body weight, but it uses roughly 20% of your body's energy. 20%. That means if you are constantly tired, foggy, or forgetful, the very first place to look is not your memory itself, but what you are feeding that hungry little organ and how you are resting it. This is not about becoming a walking science experiment. This is about understanding your brain the way you understand your favorite houseplant. Give it what it needs, and it thrives. Ignore it, and it wilts, quietly, without ever announcing it. Section 2, the myth that's holding you back. Now here is where I want to gently challenge something you've probably been told your whole life. That memory loss after 50 is simply inevitable. That it is just part of getting older, like gray hair or reading glasses. I want you to release that belief right now, because it is not entirely true, and holding on to it might actually be making things worse. There is a fascinating pattern researchers have noticed in older adults across different cultures. In places where aging is respected and elders are seen as wise rather than forgetful, memory decline happens far less often and far more slowly. Meanwhile, in places where aging is treated as something to fear or hide from, memory problems show up earlier and more severely. Your mindset is not just a feeling, it is a signal your brain listens to. When you constantly tell yourself, "I'm just getting old, I can't remember anything anymore," your brain quietly agrees with you and starts acting accordingly. This is sometimes called stereotype threat, and it is real, and it is powerful. So today, I want you to make a small but mighty decision. Stop narrating decline. Start narrating growth. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, your brain is listening, and it wants permission to keep getting stronger. Section 3, the uncommon habit number 1, boring is the enemy. Here is the first habit that separates women with sharp memories from those who struggle, and it has nothing to do with crossword puzzles. I know, everyone tells you to do crossword puzzles. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If you've done the same puzzle style for years, your brain has basically memorized the pattern. It's not challenging you anymore, it's just familiar comfort, like a worn-in pair of slippers. And comfort, as cozy as it feels, does very little to build new brain connections. What actually works is something called novelty. Your brain grows new pathways when it encounters something unfamiliar, something that makes it work just a little bit harder than usual. This does not mean learning quantum physics. It can be as simple as brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Taking a different route to the grocery store. Trying to cook a recipe from a cuisine you've never touched before. Learning 5 words in a new language, just 5, not fluency, just 5. The goal is not mastery, the goal is friction, that small mental stretch that tells your brain, "Hey, wake up, we're doing something new here." Do this consistently, even in tiny 5-minute doses, and you are quite literally building new roads in your brain that did not exist before. Section 4, the uncommon habit number 2, the social secret. Now here's one that might genuinely surprise you. One of the strongest predictors of a sharp memory after 50 is not diet, and it's not exercise, though both matter. It is the depth of your social connections. Not the number of friends you have, the depth. A large long-running study on aging found that people with rich, meaningful conversations, the kind where you really listen and really share, had noticeably slower rates of memory decline compared to people who mostly had surface-level small talk, even if that second group technically knew more people. Why would this be? Because deep conversation is basically a full-body workout for your brain. When you're really listening to someone, you're processing their words, reading their tone, recalling shared history, forming responses, and managing your own emotions all at the same time. That is an enormous cognitive workload, and your brain loves it. It is one of the most natural, enjoyable ways to exercise your mind without it ever feeling like exercise. So here's your gentle homework. This week, call a friend you haven't spoken to properly in a while. Not a text. An actual conversation. Ask them real questions. Let the conversation breathe. You are not just nourishing your friendship, you are quite literally protecting your memory. Now, before we move into the next part, because trust me, what's coming next might be the most important section of this whole video, I want to pause for just a moment. If any part of what you've heard so far has made you nod your head, or think of someone you love, do me a small favor. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is one thing you sometimes forget that frustrates you the most? I read every single comment, and I promise you, you are not alone in this. And if you haven't already, please take 2 seconds to like this video. It genuinely helps this channel reach more women who need this information, women just like you, sitting somewhere right now feeling a little worried about their memory. And of course, if you're new here, subscribe, because we cover topics just like this every single week, all designed to help you feel stronger, sharper, and more confident after 50. Alright, let's keep going. Section 5, the uncommon habit number 3, the hidden saboteur. Now let's talk about the thing sitting quietly in so many kitchens, the one working against your memory without you ever suspecting it. It's not sugar, and it's not caffeine, though both play a role. It's something far more sneaky, chronic mild dehydration. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Your brain is roughly 75% water. When you are even slightly dehydrated, and I mean the kind of dehydration where you don't even feel thirsty yet, your brain tissue can actually shrink just enough to affect concentration, mood, and short-term memory. Researchers have found that even a 2% drop in hydration can measurably impair memory and focus. And here's why this hits women over 50 especially hard. As we age, our sense of thirst becomes less reliable. Your body might genuinely need water, but the signal that used to say "I'm thirsty" gets quieter and quieter. So you go hours, sometimes the entire morning, running on empty without ever feeling the alarm bell. This is not about forcing down 8 giant glasses of water like a chore. It is about building small, natural rhythms. A glass of water the moment you wake up, before your coffee even touches your lips. A glass with each meal. Herbal tea in the afternoon instead of another coffee. These are small, budget-friendly, almost invisible changes, but they can noticeably lift that mental fog many women just accept as normal. Section 6. The power of movement, the unexpected kind. Let's talk about movement, but not in the way you're expecting. You've heard exercise is good for your brain, sure. But here's the uncommon twist. It's not really about how hard you move, it's about how differently you move. Repetitive movement, the same walk, the same route, the same pace every single day, does help your heart, but it does very little extra for your brain because your body has already automated it. What lights up your brain in a much bigger way is coordination-based movement, activities that require your brain and body to communicate in new ways. Think dancing, even just in your living room to your favorite song. Think a beginner's yoga class where your balance is challenged. Think simply walking backwards slowly in your hallway for 30 seconds. Sounds strange, I know, but it forces your brain to recalculate space and balance in a way normal walking never does. These coordination challenges stimulate a part of your brain called the cerebellum, which research increasingly links not just to movement, but to memory and thinking speed. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need special equipment. You need 10 minutes and a willingness to feel a little silly, which, between us, is often exactly what our brains are craving. Section 7. Food as a love letter to your brain. Now let's gently touch on food, but I promise, not another lecture about kale. Instead, I want you to think about food differently, as a love letter you write to your future self. Certain foods genuinely support brain function, and the beautiful news is, many of them are affordable and already sitting in your local grocery store. Fatty fish like sardines or salmon, rich in omega-3 fats that support the very structure of brain cells. Berries, blueberries especially, packed with antioxidants that researchers have linked to slower memory decline. Leafy greens, walnuts, even a small square of dark chocolate. None of this requires an expensive shopping cart or a complicated meal plan. The uncommon part, the piece most people miss, is not just what you eat, but how consistently you avoid the blood sugar roller coaster. Skipping meals and then eating something very sugary later creates sharp spikes and crashes in blood sugar, and your brain, being incredibly sensitive to fuel changes, feels every single one of those crashes as fog, irritability, and forgetfulness. So the simplest, most powerful shift is not a diet, it is rhythm. Eating regularly, pairing carbohydrates with a little protein or fat, keeping your brain's fuel supply steady throughout the day instead of feast then famine. Section 8. Sleep, the brain's cleaning crew. Here's something almost nobody talks about, and it might be the single most underrated brain habit of all. While you sleep, your brain runs something scientists have nicknamed its cleaning system. During deep sleep, tiny channels in your brain actually widen and flush out waste products, including a protein called beta amyloid, which, when it builds up over time, is linked to memory problems. In other words, sleep isn't just rest. It is quite literally your brain washing itself clean every single night. This means those nights of tossing and turning, or staying up late scrolling, are not just making you tired the next day, they are quietly limiting how well your brain can clear out the mental clutter it accumulated. The uncommon fix here is not sleeping more, it's sleeping deeper. And one of the simplest ways to protect that deep sleep is dimming lights and avoiding screens in the hour before bed, because bright light, especially blue light, tricks your brain into staying in alert mode instead of winding down into that deep, restorative cleaning cycle. Even something as simple as switching to warm lamp light in the evening can noticeably improve the quality, not just the quantity, of your sleep. Section 9. Putting it all together. So let's bring this full circle. Sharp memory after 50 is not about one miracle habit. It's about a handful of small, almost boringly simple shifts, working together quietly in the background of your everyday life. Seeking out little moments of newness instead of routine. Nurturing deep, real conversations. Drinking water before your coffee touches your lips. Moving in ways that challenge your coordination, not just your stamina. Eating with rhythm instead of extremes. And protecting your sleep like it is the most valuable appointment on your calendar, because in many ways, it is. None of this requires expensive supplements, fancy gadgets, or hours of your day. It requires awareness, and a little bit of gentle consistency. Your brain, at 50, 60, 70, and beyond, is still fully capable of growing, adapting, and surprising you. It simply needs you to stop treating memory loss as inevitable, and start treating your brain the way you would treat any relationship worth investing in, with attention, care, and a little patience. If this video gave you even one thing to try today, I would love to hear it in the comments. Tell me which habit you're starting with first. And if you found this helpful, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with a friend who might need to hear this today too. Here on Healthy Living After 50, we believe getting older should mean getting wiser, sharper, and more vibrant, not less. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of that beautiful mind of yours.